So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the process of adding items and collections and exhibits to the Omeka website. So each group in the class is going to get assigned a username and password, which you'll get later. And you'll go to cdigs.uwindsor.ca/neighborhoodhistory/admin. You don't need that little bit at the end. Just that little part there will get you to the login page, but we'll make sure that you have a link. So once you're there and you have your information, you can log in, and that's going to take you to the administrator back end for the site. So this is obviously not for the view of the public. To see that, you can click here and see what the current public site looks like. This is primarily for, of course, you to develop the site. So you can see on the left here, there are a lot of different options. You might see a few different things than me because you'll have slightly different account statuses than I do. But you can see there's items here, there's collections here, and there's exhibits. And those are the things I want you to sort of focus on in this. So the first thing I want you to add for the group and what you should try to do is create a collection for yourself. And the idea behind a collection is that it's kind of a bucket or basket that you can put the specific items that you're going to add to the site in. And the reason you want to have this is so you can keep it nice and separate from everyone else's work, and it helps you sort of keep all your information together in one spot. So to do that, you'd click on collections, and you can sort of browse through to see what other people's past collections look like. You can add a collection, and here you want to add some basic information about it. You don't need to necessarily fill out this in great detail, but just something so that you know what is supposed to go in this bucket. You'll also notice there's a public and a featured option. Keep these unchecked for right now. Once we're ready to make the site public, we can do that, but for the moment, you can leave them unchecked. So you would give this a name and then click Add Collection, and your work at that stage would be done. So the next thing you'd want to do is add items. So what would be an item? So an item would be, for example, a picture of something that you found interesting for your project. So you have a lot of examples here that you could look at. So perhaps there's an old poster or a snapshot of, in this case, an interior detail of a roof. So an item is just sort of a single notion or object that you're going to want to add to the site, which will become part of your collection, which will then become part of your exhibit. So you can look through any of these to sort of get a sense of what they look like. So if I open this one up in a new tab and view the public page, you can sort of see how this is going to look on the site. And you'll also notice that there's some basic information again that you're going to want to fill out when you add your items. So going back here, just like with collections, you just click Add Item. And step one is filling out the Dublin Core metadata. So Dublin Core is just a set of common descriptors that are used to describe archival items. And you'll want to make sure you fill out as much of this as you can so that you're giving your users as much information about the items that you're asking or you're adding as possible. And once you fill that information out, there's also item type metadata. And so this might be things like building or property information, like you're describing something very specific about some pillars or columns or something like that. But there's going to be a separate video that details that, so I won't go into detail here. Obviously, you need to add a file to your record that's associated with your metadata. So all you're going to do is choose whatever file it is from your hard drive and add it. If there are multiple files that you want to add to an item, so for example, maybe you've got 3 different photos of a statue from different angles, and you want to include those together as one item. You can do that just by adding more files. Finally, you can also choose which collection it goes into. So you'll want to find whatever collection that you built and select it. I'm just using that as an example. And of course, the public and featured is here again, but I'm going to leave those unchecked because we want to make sure these things aren't public until they're ready to go live. And then once you're happy with that, you can add the item, click that little button there, and your new item will be added to the site. And also it will be included in the collection that you built. Okay. Jumping ahead to exhibit. So the way to think about exhibits, an exhibit is, in a very obvious way, like creating a public presentation of all these items and collections that you're putting together. And it's your chance to sort of tell the story of your little neighborhood or whatever it is that you're working on. So you can sort of browse through and see what other people have done again to get a sense of that on the site. But when you get going, you just have to add an exhibit. So I'll walk through a little bit of this just because it'd be good to see. I'm going to give it a title. The slug is just a weird name for the URL that your site's going to have. So it's going to be something like cdigs.uwindsor.ca/neighborhood history/exhibits/ whatever your group is working on. So I'm just going to call mine test for now. So that's the main thing to remember, is whatever you want your URL to be. This is going to give you a bit of a landing page for your exhibit, so you can put in a brief description, sort of an introduction to your topic. Leave the current public theme because it's set site-wide, and then you can start adding pages. So the first thing I'm going to do, though, is save it. And so now I can go and add some pages. So if I go to the website, and if you look at someone else's previous exhibit, so let's look at historic downtown. You can see we've got a landing page here with a description of the project, and we've got various subcategories here. So these are like links to other pages that you might want to look at. So this is on the Spirit of Windsor, and then more information about this train, and so on and so forth. So what you're going to do to accomplish that is create pages in your exhibit. So each of these links or pages that you're going to is equivalent to an exhibit page. So you can choose different types of pages. So if you just want text, you can have a text page, you can have a gallery page, you can have images with text. It sort of depends on what you want to do. So some of the mapping options we're not going to worry about, because I believe Karina will be doing some of the mapping stuff again. So I'm going to click this and add a new content block. And here, in this case, again, we're going to want to give it a title, and we're going to want to give it a space, a URL. And then now we can start featuring and talking about some of the items that you've added to the site. So for example, if this page is going to be about this original seat from the Capitol Theater, I can select that, provide a caption if I want, and you can see it's been added as an item now. And in the text field, what I can do is describe what's interesting about this item, and you can sort of give some of that historical background that you want to do. So once I'm done with this, I can save it, and that would be added to my exhibit. So since I'm just working on a test exhibit, I'll show you what it looks like in one of the existing projects. So you can see when I look at all the pages here, that we've got all the different separate pages we've added, and you can see that some of them are indented while some of them are not. When you drag a page over, so you look where my mouse is, you can sort of move these around. If you indent a page below another page, like Riverside Sportsman's Club, and these two pages are indented, that means that these are going to be part of this parent category. So think of this as sort of a link group, which includes the child links, purpose of the club, and present day facilities. So if you want to have that kind of nested structure in your exhibit, that's how you do it. You create pages, and then you can just move them around. Although this one's not cooperating with me. There we go, just like that. Or you can move them back. So once you've got that all set up, again, save, keeping in mind you've got public and featured things checked off in this case because this exhibit is finished, but in your case, you'll want to leave these unchecked until you're done. So that's about it. If there are any questions, you can always send me a message and via email, and I'd be happy to answer. Thanks so much.